Konnichiwa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore, good afternoon everyone. It is indeed a privilege, honored, truly a happiness for me to be back at Sophia University to meet students as well as quite a few diaspora of Indonesia here in the audience. And I'd like to first of all express my appreciations to Professor Fukutake Shintaro for organizing this event, for hosting this lecture. And for me, going back to Tokyo is always fun. It's a lot of memory about the city, and also in specific to be back to Sofia. I attended a summer program here in 1993, and I believe some of you were not yet born then. Please don't raise your hand if you're not born yet. I was here in 1993 as a summer student, attending summer program at Sophia University in Ichigaya campus, not at Yosuya. But I sometimes came to Yotsuya for accessing the library and also the computer lab. Oh yeah, by the way, talking about computer lab, Professor Fukutake, when I came here, I brought all my papers and my data into my disk, hoping that I will be able to then convert and work on it here in the computer at the lab. So one day I walked to the lab, taking along my floppy disk, and then when I get there, I told them I need to print a few papers. The lab attendant was looking at me and looking at my disk. Where is your disk? And I said, this is my floppy disk. And he had a smile, and we're no longer using the floppy disk. So there's no way I can access my floppy disk. And it was a 5/4 size inch floppy disk. That is truly floppy disk. It is truly floppy. And I wasn't able to access all my data because everything was there, and the technology has changed here. We are about 5 to 6 years behind, I believe, there. But now everything is with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. There's no longer issues about compatibility. Anyway, before I start our conversation, if I may get some statistic here, please raise your hand if you're coming from Tokyo. Okay, good. Please raise your hand if you're coming from outside Tokyo. Wow. Please raise your hand if you're coming outside Japan. You're visiting here? Well, we were on the same flight, so, you know, there's that. And I also would like to say hello to Miss Mariko, who is in the translator room. Miss Mariko out there. She is now almost 80 years old, and she was a translator when I was here as a governor 7 years ago. Translating and accompanying my trip for 7 days. Everything was with her. I was not able to see her yet, but I'm going to see you, Ms. Mariko. Please give a big clap to her willingness to come and translate it for us. Bu Mariko, terima kasih. Anyway, now let's start about the subject that I have been assigned to discuss about, which is about the youth participation in a democracy. And I believe many of you here are young, are youth. Please raise your hands. You consider yourself young. That's a true test, okay? Sir, you can also raise your hand, sir, okay? You can consider yourself young. I myself think that you're young or old is not it doesn't depend on the year you were born, but depend on your mindset. If your story is about the future, then you're young. But if your story is about the past, then you're old. You may be 25 years old, but whatever you tell stories is about the past, then you're actually old. But I often met someone aged more than 90, and he or she is never interested in telling the past, always talking about present and future. I consider that person as a young person, even though he or she is more than 90. Yeah. So if you're still talking about the future, then you're young. So don't talk too much about the past. Now, tonight, what I will be discussing is about youth participations in democracy and its importance. This is one aspect that I thought is of interest to many of us. I'm still rather traditional on this. So beside the slide projector, I'll add some of the items in writing. So one aspect is on the importance of youth participations in democracy. Let's see. Let's see. There we go. Okay. I thought everything in Japan works well. One is about importance. Importance of youth in a democracy. And there's intersections of three things. One is youth, two is technology, three is democracy. The intersection has made it critical for many nations, including Indonesia, to see the participations of the youth and why it matters. As we face challenges, perhaps nanti dulu slide-nya ke belakang dulu. Terlalu cepat. I'm not yet there. But it is important for us, be it in Indonesia and across the globe, the participations of the young people has already generated new colors in democracies. And in fact, if I may outline some of key people who have said this. I'm quoting Kofi Annan, the Secretary General of UN from Ghana. He once said that young people should be at the forefront of global change and innovations. If they are empowered, they can be key agents for development and peace. However, if they are left out in the society, all of us will be impoverished. So let us ensure that the young people have every opportunity to participate fully in the lives of our society. This is a message that often people think as classic, but it becomes more and more crucial nowadays. But why it is essential? So go to the next slide. Now, these are a few things. One is about representations and inclusivity. That's key. Number two is about innovations and fresh perspective. Number three is about long-term stability and sustainability of our democracy. Number four is about digital literacy and technological adaptations. And the fifth point is about global perspective and interconnectedness. Let me elaborate the first one. First is about representation and inclusivity. Young people comprise significant portions of our society. Needless to say, the proportions is about a quarter to 30% across society across the globe, even though in terms of percentage, from time to time, we are seeing a diminishing number in terms of percentage because the longer life expectations of our populations. However, when the young people engage, it leads into a more inclusive democratic process. The young people often outline voices that is left out. And when they are engaged, they make democracy more equitable. Number two is the innovations and fresh perspective. What is unique about the young people? If I may ask you, what are the key components that make youth, young, is unique compared to other group of our society? You can raise your hand if you think you have an answer. Yeah.
Number two.
Number two?
Fresh perspective.
Fresh perspective. Yeah. Fresh perspective. Newness. You're coming with something new. You have a new slant in looking at things. Something that the elderly have been dealing for many, many, many years. When the young people come and see, they come up with something new. I remember in Jakarta, we have a zebra cross like Shinjuku. Not like a Shinjuku like this one, but you know, similar to that. Well, actually all crossroad is the same, right? But there's a zebra cross, it's all the same. But for the young people, suddenly the zebra cross becomes something unique. They change it into catwalk. Okay? For the elderly, this is a place where you cross the street. For the young people, this is a place where you do your fashion show, right? But I'm just giving you an example of newness. So what we like to see in the youth participation in democracy, they come into the stage with newness, with fresh perspective. And the third point is long-term stability and sustainability of democracy. There are so many cases in which democratization process lead into transformations we are hoping ends in consolidated democracy, but that doesn't always be the case. Sometimes you have democratizations, and then we're practicing democracy for a few decades, and then there's a decline of democracy, and turn back into authoritarianism, or semi-authoritarianism, or pseudo-democracy at the minimum. Who will guard democracy to consolidate? It's the young people. So engagement of the young people in the democratization process and in the democratic process help to safeguard our democracy. It is the young people that often in the front line when it comes to ensuring democracy stand still. Whenever there is an effort to deteriorate or to lower the quality of our democracy. So the issue of sustainability and stability of democracy is truly guarded by the participation of our young people. And the fourth point is about digital literacy. Nowadays, the young people were very much engaged with technology, using digital method to articulate aspirations, to bridge digital divide, to make government more accessible, to make government more transparent. And familiarity with the digital platform by the youth has enhanced public engagement, has made informations disseminated much wider, And for anyone in government who are doing things not in a proper way, through digital engagement, they cannot get away. Including if you fly with a private jet. Yeah. We flew with Jet Airline last night, so we're okay. Yeah. So I was a governor in Jakarta, and being a governor in Jakarta, in the city where almost 100% of its people were digitally connected, whenever things goes wrong, okay, they will find it, they will articulate it, and they're going to criticize government for everything that goes wrong, right? How do we go about it? We should thank them. And that's our approach. We thank the citizens of Jakarta, especially the netizens, for actively scrutinizing everything we're doing. Yeah, because when you're being scrutinized, it is a measure for us to continuously improve quality of our work. Look, I was a governor of Jakarta. I'm managing 200,000 employees of Jakarta City, managing 11 million people. With active participations, then you're actually being helped mostly by the youth. But you can only feel you're being helped if you're doing things right. If you are doing things, wrong things, you wanna try to get away from the public scrutiny, including those flying things, right? Because you don't like that scrutiny. But if you're doing everything right, then you don't have any problem with that. And then the fifth aspect is on the global perspective and the interconnectedness. We need to thank the internet and the social media, because today youth are more globally connected than any time of the past. Compared to any previous generations, today the young people are more connected globally. So issues that is at the global level easily understood by the youth everywhere in the world. For give you one example, the issues of global climate crisis. In this era, with the connectivity, the participations of the youth on the climate crisis issues were much more. One is easier. Two is it pushes global agenda at the local level, because this interconnectedness. And we often experience, in our case, when I was managing Jakarta, environmental issues that is often global at the scale is being translated into local demands by the youth, because they have the global perspective that the previous generations didn't have. So we're talking about the importance of youth participation. Now, the second point is with regard to historical context. On the historical context, I think Indonesia is quite unique, even though university students is common everywhere, but in Indonesia, we remember since 1928, the Youth Pledge, and the 1945, and then the 1966 reform, the 1998 reform. In almost all these events, students were active, and students were key players. But let me underline, these slides only outline 5 items: 29, 45, 98, 96. What happened between those years? Between those years, you are able to see active engagement of students, of the youth, all across issues, across the years. So this is only sort of a marking some important historical event. However, youth participations were continuously happening between those years. So do not just assume that students were there only in 1966 and then sit down on campus and do nothing again. No, they were actively engaged, but only on those events that we are seeing some important political landmark. And if I may offer some of the issues in 1928, why the pledge by the youth matter for Indonesia in many, many decades to come is because they have agreed on three things. Help me on this. Apa sumpahnya? One nation, one country, and one common language. Not one language, one common language. The third component of the pledge has made Indonesia glued as strong as it is today, because we are able to speak with one another using one common language. It is a nation that is extremely diverse, speaking so many languages with various ethnic backgrounds, various religious backgrounds, however, able to agree. And this one common language was agreed in 1928, 17 years before independence. If any of you studying comparative culture, comparative politics, please check how many countries in the world able to agree on a common language before its independence. Almost all of them had its independence, then discuss about common language or national language. Indonesia agreed about it 17 years before. So we never actually had debate about what should be our common language, because the youth has solved it long ago. This is genius, this is breakthrough, and we are so blessed with that. With that, we're able to have strong military force. Imagine if we didn't have common language. Chain of commands, we're using translator. Okay? There is no way you can have a strong military command if you have to translate everything. We are here in this room, and there is a Mariko-san is translating for us. Imagine if our parliament is allowed to speak in local languages. Okay, those members will be speaking using Javanese, using Bugis, using Manados, using Timor, and then translators were everywhere. We take it lightly, but it is a genius breakthrough by the youth of them. So do not underestimate the importance of youth in looking at this. And if you look at the older generation, they're not interested in things like this. This is the newness that they brought in 1928. And here we are in 1924 and 2024, we are harvesting. You know, what the seed was planted by our great-great-grandfathers long ago. Now, if I may look at the case of Japan, it is rather unique perhaps, because in Japan, in contrast, the youth has not been too active compared to Indonesia. The cultural and the structural factors contributed to the lower youth participation in politics in other countries. And Indonesia was very active. And we did some review, have shown that only 20% of Japanese youth believe they can influence politics and affect change in their country. However, let's not underestimate the presence and hopefully the growing engagement of the youth. I think the recent initiative, No Youth, No Japan, NYNJ, and the online activism has begun to change the landscape, and perhaps it may encourage more young people to get involved in politics and in the society in general. However, globally, youth political engagement has increased. The young people creating new forms of political participation that is often bypassed by traditional system. So youth-led movement increasingly focus on environmental degradations, on socioeconomic disparities, on human rights issues. So those three issues, environment, inequalities, human rights, these are issues that the youth at the global level has engaged. So the global trend have shown that they are more active, but the question is why the young people attracted to digital activisms. I think one of the key is digital technology and youth in politics. You guys were digital natives. Myself were perhaps immigrants. My generation was immigrants, but you, most of you, I would say, were digital natives. And being native, you're able to optimize technology in their participations. And then the issues that I mentioned earlier, disparities, social justice, climate change, environment, these are issues that matters to the young people. And we often read how the youth were articulating this kind of view. We are today experiencing environmental degradation, not because of our doing, but because of our fathers and grandfathers' generations doing. They are responsible, and we have to deal with so many environmental destructions because of those generations. So my generations would step up and would like to do something about it and fixing those challenges. And they often see this as intergenerational issue. And that's why they often echoed kind of upset with the previous generations. Now, if you go even further, I'd like to share some of our experience in Indonesia with the youth participations. Go to the next slide. The case of Indonesia. By the way, I just completed participation in that. Did you vote? You were here? I'm not asking further questions. Who did you vote for? But that's different questions. Election is over. There's so many stories about it. So I will let the historian to write more about it. And hopefully we can learn to improve the quality of our election. As someone who were involved heavily in the process, we have so many footnotes about it. But let that footnotes be read by future historians so they can write and hopefully improve the quality. What I will be talking here is not about what went wrong with the election. What I would like to talk about is what was the role of the youth in the election. Why I choose 2024 election? One is because it's recent. Number two, I was involved. And number three, this is a period in which youth, technology, and democracy were in play simultaneously. So it was a very unique experience for all of us in Indonesia. And then the reach of digital media to the populations is perhaps widest in the history of Indonesia. Now, we have witnessed an increased participation of the youth in the last election, especially in the presidential elections. And in our campaign, we engaged the young people. There was a group called Ubah Bareng. I mean, the name itself tells you it's a young organization. If it is an elderly organization, the term would be gotong royong. The young people, I know, I don't like gotong royong, I like Ubah Bareng. So the term itself is new. So when I met them for the first time, and I said, why do you call yourself Ubah Bareng? Because we want to make a change. And we don't want to make a change alone. We'd like to make a change collectively. So we call ourselves Ubah Bareng. So they set up a program called Desak Anies. When I was told about the project, I said, okay, I would agree. I didn't really read what was planned. What I was told is, please come to the place at certain time and we will have a conversation. So I thought conversation like this. So I arrived at the place, not knowing what's going to happen to me. It turned out that I sit on the chair, given only 2 minutes to answer questions that I didn't expect, that I didn't know. And the person who asked me questions were given only 1 minute to ask questions, and they can ask anything. I wasn't briefed that I will be asked anything. I thought it would be more like a regular conversation with the youth. So the first Ubah Bareng was truly an experimental for the candidate itself, not only for the audience, for the candidate itself. So I was told, Pak, those who were here were selected. So what do you mean by selected? We have reviewed their social media. We decided to invite those who are always critical to you. Thank you. Okay? So they invited people who are always critical to me, and the Ubah Bareng telling them, you have been criticizing Anies online. I'll give you a challenge. Do you dare to say it in front of him? So it was a test too for the guy, right? Do you dare to say it? So some of the individuals who comes, I can tell by close distance that they're having tremor. Okay? Because they hold the microphone and keep holding like this. Because it was first time, eye to eye, in less than 2 meters away between ourselves. So anyway, but the concept is the young people come up with the new ideas of new way of campaigning by giving candidates questions that are often not being asked in the general campaigning. It was a new approach. So let me tell you, it was not my invention. It was the inventions of the young people of Indonesia that gathered in Ubah Bareng. And that has changed the landscape of our campaign. And we did it in 22 cities across Indonesia. And the last conference, the last Ubah Bareng was in Surabaya. And I was shocked that they were using a hall, a capacity of 13,000 and fully booked. And there are 3,000 who were waiting outside trying to get involved. This is not a music concert. Okay? This is a debate stage. Yet thousands were coming, thousands were trying to ask questions, and engagement level has increased significantly among the youth. And we thought it was something unique. There's a video about this. Boleh putar?
kegiatan Desak Anies, Desak Anies, Desak Anies.
Desak Anies. It's time for change. You know, when you're on stage and you're campaigning, you rather receive easy questions. But in the Desak Anies, we were confronted with difficult questions that I never actually imagined. And it was for me a learning process. And I think it has improved the quality of my thinking. It has improved the quality of our team to improve its policy proposals, because the youth were coming in with challenges. So Desak Anies in English is Challenge Anies. And I think this is something that we need to see it continuing. So hopefully they continue with this, with the new government, hopefully. We'll see. Hello. It's a democracy, right? So this should be open for conversation. Especially you're elected anyway, so you can ask any questions without worrying of losing votes. Now, there's one interesting aspect about this format. What you didn't see is prior to me coming up the stage, there is always a stand-up comedian sharing some of his thought, some of his critics toward politics, toward democracy, and again, those are unscripted. And then our experience with young people engagement in our campaign is a group that have remarkable creativity with digital campaign. These are called the Humanist Movement. The Humanist Movement, the human and Anies, which is Anies is a human, but you know, no questions, but they call humanists, human and Anies. These are groups that gathered, helped our campaign in the social media, and then translated some of our message into languages that easily understood by the Z generations, by the millennial and Z generation especially. So apparently, our message reached a certain age group, which is more senior, and we need to have it translated, and they have helped us. And what's interesting is this: they're continuing their activism beyond campaign, and even today they're still very active. And then on top of that, the Indonesian K-pop fans rallied during our campaign. They have supported. Until today, I still didn't understand how they work. I'm impressed. I'm truly impressed and still could not understand. One, they were making these videotrons in many cities. They did the fundraising. They did renting the place and everything without telling me. And when I tried to meet them, they said, "We don't want to meet you. We just need to support you." And when we finally invite some people to come, many of them come with masker, face mask. The idea is, Pak Anies, we supported you and you don't need to know me. You don't need to know us. This is angel type supporter. Because in the political arena, many have not held anything but always in the front stage. But this time they held so many things and they don't want to self-identify themselves. So they're very active with various different campaign tools, and what impressed us is their ability to do fundraising, their ability to organize, and their ability to penetrate media in a very creative way. Can you imagine this truck? So when they have posted this Videotron, many city government shut it down. The government should be neutral, right? But that doesn't always be the reality, okay? So sebagian, many of them were being turned down. But the mobile one, they're mobile, they're going everywhere. And they're campaigning for us. Well, it's very creative. And they have created, ada contohnya lagi nggak? Ini dia nih. They have all these cards with, saya agak malu sebetulnya. Because that's not my style. But they found those pictures and they put it there, and everywhere you go, it's like their brand. Now, so these are engagement of the youth that they are not hesitant to make partisan political decision. There are three candidates. They decided to support one without hesitation. Okay, but that is something new, because many have already articulated, yes, we'd like to promote policy, but when it comes to elections, I'd like to stay neutral. But they decided to take side and actively campaigning in a real way, not only physical presence, but through supports, real support. And then, so this is what's unique about them. And then you have another unique thing is have a nice day. We have hired among the best web creator to create our website. And then this group called themselves Have a Nice Day. They made a new website for our campaign, and the official one looked so primitive because of them. And they did it voluntarily. It is a very amazing group. It is have a nice day, have an ice day. But again, even the term have a nice day, have an honest day is quite a unique one. So, you can go to haveaniceday.com and you can see how they develop this website. Next. The other youth engagement in our election last time was the non-partisan. The one that I explained was the partisan. And I think our campaign get true support unsolicited from the youth. This one, the Kawal Pemilu, I think many of you have heard. It started 10 years ago. This is also another youth engagement, basically guarding our election result. And so many young people involved in this effort to make sure that our that our election result is truly reflecting the vote of the people. My suggestion is, and then there is a bijak memilih. Bijak memilih, choose wisely, basically, is launched by a public policy advocacy group, Think Policy, and the youth-based content site, What is Up Indonesia. This provides accessible, easy to digest information about policy, about candidates, about current affair, and surrounding who should you choose, and comparing each of these. By the way, how many of you have accessed this platform? Can you raise your hand? Good. So it makes you an informed voter. What I like to give a footnote is this. Perhaps in the future, whenever you're talking about safeguarding election, we should also focus not only ensuring that we count it right, but we should safeguard the pre-election possible intervention. Because it's the pre-election possible interventions now is the state of the art in intervening in the election. I think there is a minimum case of irregularities in the counting elections. So those are examples in the recent years about Indonesian youth engagement. But I also like to point out what happened last month. Next slide. Sebelumnya. The recent youth-led protest. Perhaps the next slide. Next. Oh, by the way, if you go, these are example of humanist project. The humanists continue to engage in serving the public even though election has been passed. They continue to be active. They continue to have a project, including when last month there was a demonstrations on protesting the House of Representatives for trying to undo the Constitutional Court decision. It was a very creative way of organizing the protest. In one day, not in one day, in a few hours, let me check. The groups were doing Ubah Bareng and Humanis. They are organizing a fundraising to support the protest. They do fundraising for, I believe, for 2 hours, and they were able to raise fund about 6.5 million yen in 2 hours. So it is quite significant. In the past, when you have demonstrations like this, often the food that is distributed is nasi bungkus. This time is hoka-hoka bento. So, oh yeah, like that hoka. This is no advertisement for hoka-hoka bento, okay? So, the owner of hoka-hoka bento should not be interrogated by anyone. This was simply jual beli. Now, so the recent case, and also pertanggungjawaban publik. Often political event like protests like this, you never find out the accountability report. This group were showing new approach. We engage in a protest. We have done fundraising, and they're giving public accountability of how funds are being allocated. Only young people can do this. Give them a big applause. And by the way, this group, they have representative in every hospital nearby the House of Representatives. So anyone who had injury in the hospital, they don't have to worry about the bill because the representative there is going to pay the bill. Okay? So it is quite a breakthrough. Again, it's only new eyes, new perspective, new slant that can do this, and it's the young people. Okay. next. Biar dibaca dulu. Nah. So, melebur bersama kawal putusan MK, and then you have this just demo it. Usually just do it. So these are, again, very interesting creativity coming out of this group. Next slide. The question then is, we have talked about the past, we have talked about the importance, we've talked about the past. The next is where this is the case studies. Now we are talking about the future. It is an example of a good father. Taking your kids into a lecture room, one day she may become a student, and one day perhaps she'll be speaking on the stage. And actually, that was my experience too. My mother took me to a lecture. My father do the same thing. I sit on the chair, and my parents were giving lecture, and it was one of the most boring experience for me, because I know nothing about the lecture. But without me realizing, I get used to lecture experience, and it was something that is done on regular basis. So it's whenever I look at little kids with the parents coming to lecture, it's like looking at myself in the mirror. So, Pak, congratulations for taking your kids along. Not many fathers dare to do that, Pak, because sometimes you want to leave the children outside, and then you're having conversation inside, but he's engaging fully. Where are we now? Future of the youth in democracy. One of the, whenever we're talking about the future of our democracy, it's modernization of democratic institutions. With young people actively engaged, they will reshape political landscape, they will reshape government structure. And we are just seeing the beginning. As digital natives with global perspective, today's youth are uniquely poised to address complex and interconnected challenges that are facing our world. So with this, we are seeing how government were using new approach in the democracy. And if you are seeing the bijak pemilih, the kawal pemilu, and then you're seeing the desak Anies, all of that has made our electoral process experiencing an improvement, a more solid quality. So we are seeing a modernization of our democratic institutions. And then we are going to see some increased attentions on issues like climate change and social justice. I am often amazed when I had discussion with youth of Jakarta. When they came to our office, I was still a governor, came to our office, they come in the appearance that is expressive. What I mean by expressive is new style shoes, colored hair, makeup that is attracted attention. And when conversations start, they talk about social justice. They talk about social issues. They talk about poverty. They talk about environment. So never judge from the cover, because the cover may mislead you. In the past, activists often associated with a certain stereotype. Now we are seeing a transformation. We are seeing new youth that is actively engaged in social, environmental issues seriously. Yet they're modern, they're up to date when it comes to styles. And then development of new models of civic participations that blend digital and traditional approach. So these are some of the impact with the engagement of the young generations. Next slide. So with this, what are the key takeaways that I'd like all of us to remember? One is the power of digital engagement and innovations. The young people possesses unique digital skills and global perspective that are invaluable in modern democracy. And number two is the importance of balance and multifaceted activism. That effective political engagements requires a balance between online and offline activism. While digital platforms offer unprecedented reach, the face-to-face interactions and physical presence in political space remain crucial for building trust and affecting change. So let's not forget that digital engagement so far has not replaced face-to-face engagement. It is still needed, it is still valuable, and especially in our experience in Indonesia, and I think for quite a few decades to come, it will still be important. The third aspect is the crucial role of collaboration and continuous learning. I think building cross-generational and cross-sectoral collaboration is essential for translating activism into tangible political changes. And I think it's time now for partnership between politicians in the political arena, civil society activists, civil society organizations, private entities, private citizens, and establish collaborations, exchange of ideas, exchange of views, and that will provide new perspective in many policies, especially for those who are holding authority. Now, I'll give you opportunity for question and answer, but before I end this, I'd like to share a beautiful quote by Hafsah Abiola. She's a human rights and democracy activist from Nigeria, and she said, "Guard your lights and protect it. Move it forward into the world and be fully confident that if we connect lights to light and join the lights together of 1 billion young people in our world today, we will be enough to set our whole planet aglow." Thank you.
アニスさん、ありがとうございました。ここからは Q&A セッションということで、皆様からの質問を受けたいと思いますが、マイクランナーの方大丈夫ですか？はい。では質問したい方、手を挙げてください。お願いします。それではじゃあ、後ろの方。はい、あったので。
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Paris. It's such an honor for us. First of all, my name is Deanti. I'm currently a PhD student at Sophia University from Environmental Science Department.
Danti.
Deanti.
Deanti.
Hindi apa saya dipanggil. Okay. So the questions I noticed in prior talks and discussions, I noticed that you always highlight the idea of meritocracy in Indonesian political discourse. But however, I think most of us also are aware that Indonesian educational system has not enforced the ideal of meritocracy itself, and not even designed for students or young generations to prepare for the future, to, and efficient to be political participations in practice. So 2 questions, I make it shorter. The first one, do you think that there will be any potential dangers if we rely too much or heavily in meritocracy, the idea of meritocracy in Indonesian political system, especially for young generations?
Do you think?
Is there any potential dangers?
Dangers?
Yes, dangers. Or risks, consequences, if we highly rely in idea of meritocracy in Indonesia's political system, especially for young generations' participations. And second point, as a person who's ever participated in a system of political in Indonesia, what kind of reforms in the context of political system of Indonesia, especially for democracy itself, so the government can balance the power of democracy, the idea of meritocracy, but also fulfilling the societal of equity. So there's no gap of economics and social among the young generations in the future. That's all. I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, get 3, 4, and then.
それではあと2つぐらいをもらってから一番今早かったので後ろの方お願いします。メガネをかけた方お願いします。あ、全然違います。はい、その方です。あり
がとうございました。
はい。短くお願いします。
はじめまして。Thank you very much for your time. My name is Isan. I work in Japan for 10 years right now. But since you joined the election, I start like a more follow like what things happen in Indonesia. I'm really happy you are part of our election before. My question is like you also like show before like last month have like a big demonstration of young people demonstration in the street, or actually like we call it Darurat Indonesia. So have you ever think this movement is kind of late? Because if we know like start from MK stuff, that for my perspective is like there's a lot of like unnormally situation like Uncle Usman, MKMK, or Cawe Cawe. Have you ever think that kind of Darurat Indonesia, last one, is kind of late? That is my question. Sorry, my second question is...
Your name?
Just one question.
Name, nama?
Isan. Isan, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, my last question maybe like just a little bit like 5 years, quite long. But have you ever think like what you want to do after this for these 5 years? We will wait you for us as our leader in Indonesia. I hope so. Thank you very much.
もう一人、今一番早かったので、はい。では3人の質問を受けてからお答えしていただきたいと思います。よろしくお願いします。
ありがとうございます。First of all, thank you so much for coming back to Japan after long time, I guess. My name is Mutia. I'm currently living in the prefecture next to Tokyo. I'm living in Kanagawa Prefecture right now. I'm working. Yeah, it's been like almost half of my life living in Japan right now. I've been participating. I'm trying my best to participate in involving in Indonesian democracy, even though I'm way far away from home. But sometimes I have comments like, you don't experience what we do here in Indonesia. You chose to move to Japan, work there, or even worse, you're not Indonesian enough. But I was like, am I not Indonesian enough? With my passport in me is Indonesian. So what do you think is the most effective way to actually involve, to participate, and make real change in Indonesian democracy, even though we're far from home? Thank you.
それではアニスさん答えていただけましたですか？
If you wanna two more, then it's okay. Then,
Two more?
Yeah, then I'll ask fast.
Okay.
I'll answer fast.
Yeah. Everybody take time. So, 2 more. Yes, now she is
Halo, Assalamualaikum Pak Anies. Susah soalnya ngomong assalamualaikum di Jepang. So thank you so much for coming to Tokyo. It was an honor for me. I'm a student from University of Tokyo, and back then, before the election, I was rooting for you for the election, for the presidential election, and I think that this topic is really relate for me because in the digital era, it really helps me to choose, like to have a candidate for the election. So I think, oh, my name is TR. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous right now. My name is TR, T-I-A-R. Yes. So I think that there is a phenomenon in Indonesia right now where everything needs to be viral first before taking actions, right? So, for example, people are not afraid of taking a wrong action because it's wrong, but people are afraid to take a wrong action because they are afraid to be viral. So in this case, is this the future of our digital democracy? Is this what we are leading to? And what is your opinion about this? Thank you so much.
Dibuka. Dibantu. Dibukain. Dibukain tanda tangannya.
Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Minta izin saya bicara bahasa Indonesia ya karena lebih lancar daripada bahasa Inggris. Baik, terima kasih atas kesempatannya Bapak. Dan I hope you enjoy staying in Tokyo. Saya ada satu pertanyaan tentang ya.
英語か日本語だ。
英語か日本語。あ、じゃあ日本語で。先ほどのおっしゃってた、そうですね、若者がソーシャルメディアを使って、
No. No. 聞きの旦那さんになくて、日本語がわからないんですけど、皆さん、通訳が英語と日本語しかないので、じゃあまずインドネシア語ができるんですよね。
はい。
じゃあ、Lunanya Indonesia saja ya dulu ya.
Boleh.
すいません。
Kan kalau bahasa Jepang nanti Akiko minta
Ya,
jemaah.
oke, bisa, tapi Indonesia. Dan Nihongo-nya kasih yo.
Namanya, nama?
Perkenalkan, nama saya Akiho Alka-Ihao. Akiho dari Keio University. Saya sebagai kedokteran pelajar di Universitas Muhammadiyah Makassar, juga mahasiswa S2. Mungkin banyak anak muda termasuk saya juga kalau cari info tentang politik sekarang pakai sosmed. Lalu yang kebanyakan pakai IG atau TikTok. Dan ada AI-nya, ada algoritmnya. Mungkin kalau cari satu bulan yang lalu itu kayak tukang kayu terus kayak gitu. Lalu sebelumnya saya sebelum cari tentang info itu yang biru-biru, yang Pancasila sebelum itu saya suka cari kucing terus. Dan setelah itu tukang kayu terus kayak gitu, jadi pasti ada algoritmnya dan pasti itu bikin biasnya kayak waktu pemilu mungkin yang bapak pasti yang info tentang bapak terus, mau yang nomor 2 terus, yang nomor 3 terus, pasti ada biasnya. Jadi mungkin anak muda itu kirain saya sudah dapat banyak info, saya sudah dapat banyak ilmu tentang politik, tapi ternyata itu sudah pakai algoritma. Jadi ya kayak begitu menurut sudut pandangannya Bapak gimana kalau ada biasnya pakai sosmed gitu. Ya, terima kasih.
クエスチョンはアルゴリズム、SNS 使った時にアルゴリズムが入ってくると思うんですけど、それについてどう思うかという、簡単に言うとそういう話でした。そうでした。
So bisa. Pertama Diante ya. Your questions has raised my eyebrows. You said, is it risky to think about meritocracy in politics? And then the second question was, how you incorporate meritocracy into a political system? This is what I think. In any election, the general public would never have complete information about a political party or a candidate anywhere in the world. Because many of our voters were now paying attention about candidates, about politics, about policy on day-to-day basis. Many were busy with their own businesses, with their lives, and not paying much attention toward individuals, candidates, or political parties. In fact, if you look at surveys, in many surveys, about a quarter to 1/3 of voters were saying, I will decide in the last few days before election. The candidates were running around the whole year, okay? And a quarter to 1/3 of the voters were saying, I will decide in the last few days. Why? Because they're busy with their lives. So, this is actually the idea why meritocracy is important. Because it's the political party that has the moral responsibility to have meritocratic process in the nominations of candidates for any position, for the legislature, for local elections such as Bupati, Wali Kota, governor, even presidents. So meritocracy should be adopted by the political party in the nomination process. If they nominate the right person, whoever is elected, the public will not be in trouble. Okay? Because whoever is nominated have gone through meritocratic process. The problem is when meritocracy is absent, then you may be seeing sudden candidate. Not sudden death, but sudden candidate. Okay? Some are experiencing that on arrival too. Okay? So sudden candidate because there is no meritocratic process. And I think we should start with that process. Political party will have to have clear set of argument why we nominated this person. List of argument should be there, and I think track records can be meaningful. So someone with proper records to serve the public. If you have no records of public serving, don't go to election. But don't change the law too. You don't have a record, then you change the law. That's a problem. So my take is this: it is not risky. I think still important, and it is meritocracy that can change Indonesia. Not only the political system, in education, in business. I think we really need to adopt that. We are so behind. And you're right, I've been saying meritocracy of, in very different forum, the importance of having meritocracy. It is not perfect, and there is no perfect meritocratic system, but we should always incorporate meritocratic value in every process in our society. Bung Iksan, we had a protest last month, and is it too late? I think better late than never. Right? It's better late than never. You're saying we should have protested last year when the first decision by the Constitutional Court. And I think part of the reason is this. Part of the reason this time the decision by the court was not being upheld. The parliament is trying to undo the decision by the court, and I think that's what sparked the general public to then step up and protest it. When the decision of the court was not a decision that people like, people generally not protesting to the court because it's a decision by Constitutional Court. We may not like the decision, but we have to honor it. We brought our election irregularities to the Constitutional Court. We presented the case, and it is not the first time that presidential election being brought to the Constitutional Court. But it is first time that 3 out of 8 judges were having dissenting opinion. Basically, they're saying there is valid evidence to question the result of the elections. But still, it's 3 out of 5, out of 8. So we didn't like the result, but that doesn't mean we didn't honor the decision. We didn't like the result, but we honor the decision. But that's, when you're practicing being a modern democratic person, then that's the way you do it. Whenever there is dispute, you go to the court decides, you may not like it, but accept it. So, what do you think of the last protest? I think it was positive. It is a reminder for me, the way I look at it is this. It is a reminder that we still have a large number of our population willing to step up when there is irregularities in our political system. Masih banyak stok orang baik di Republik ini. Mutia, you're away and you're still actively engaged. Thank you. Thank you for actively participating in our election. I always said, and I said it this afternoon too, when I had a meeting at the community at the Sekolah Republik Indonesia at the masjid. I mentioned that being Indonesians in a faraway land, you can never disengage with Indonesia. The plane can take your body away, but the plane cannot take your mind and your heart away from Indonesia. It is there forever. It's never to look away. So my suggestion is, you have the digital mobile with you. be active, be participative. So use this device to share your thought, to share best practices, to stimulate new thinking in Indonesia. And once you are here, it doesn't matter whether you are in Karawang or you are in Kanagawa. It doesn't matter, because here you are the same. So being in Kanagawa, you can still be actively engaged over there. So my suggestion is continue doing that. And sometimes you have these questions, why should I do that? Why should I continue to engage? I think there's a sense of happiness that you will have. When my country is experiencing this problem, you can tell yourself, I'm not part that stays silent and do nothing. I am away from Indonesia, but I am not away from the problem that Indonesia is facing. I am part of the solutions that Indonesia is trying to have. And that makes you feel good. And it makes you feel like responsible Indonesians being away. It doesn't matter if you're holding passport, Indonesia or other passport. But you're born in Indonesia, you're Indonesian, and you take responsibility. I appreciate your participation. Thank you. If it's not viral, there's no attention to it. Where is the other? Okay, your question should go viral too. I think it is not only in Indonesia, across the globe. Across the globe, it's a new phenomenon. That everything that attracted attention will have policymakers also pay more attention. This is the difference. In the past, who decide to make an event viral? It's the chief editors of the media. In the newsroom, they have conversation, they talk about it, they decide what issues should be put in the front page. Once it is in the front page, it becomes public attention. So this morning, I opened the newspaper, in the front page, kereta lepas. Betul. Gerbong lepas ikan saya. Apa itu namanya? Disengage, the bullet train disengage. It's the chief editors that decide. Nowadays, it's the general netizen who decide. So when things attracted attention of the general public, it attracted attention of the public. So on that issue, I think it's normal. What is not normal, I think what is you're referring to, is this. What you're referring is this. There is rules and regulations, okay, being disobeyed, okay, and then the law enforcement do nothing about it until it went viral. That's what you're referring, right? And on that issue, it is a problem. The law enforcement agencies should take any case, regardless how viral the issue is. It doesn't matter. If it is against the law, if it is breaking the law, they should intervene, they should enforce the law. As simple as that. And it should start from the very top. If the top leadership tolerate wrongdoings, then the subordinates will be tolerating as well. But if the top is never give any tolerance to any wrongdoing, then any subordinates will continue that. So let me, because of this question, let me share with you why, when you are in the top leadership, you should uphold values. This is leadership issues. If I'm managing 20 individuals, then I'm going to assign every individual a certain job to do. So Kiara, this is your job. Okay? And then I assign Iksan, this is your job. And other people, this is your job. I'm describing what you have to do if I'm managing 20 people. But if I'm managing 200 people, I will create an organizational structure. I will create SOP. I will create target for every directorates, for every departments to be achieved. That's when I'm managing 200 people. But if I'm managing 200,000 people, I have to outline values. What are the values of this leader? So that leaders of 200 people and leaders of 20 people can translate that values into their units. I manage Jakarta with 200,000 people. I cannot come to every department and telling them this is what you need to do. Okay. But I outline what are the key. Number one, this is my value. Number one, equal opportunity for every Jakartans. Okay, so every department has to translate that into their action. Okay, and then number two, law enforcement that address justice. And I clearly tell them, when you are dealing with citizens of Jakarta that break the law, there's two reasons why individuals are breaking the law. One, because of need. Two, because of greed. Need, kebutuhan. Greed, keserakahan. Okay? When the high-rise tower were pumping water, creating well, the depth is about 200 meters under the surface, and they're extracting waters. These are the kind of breaking our regulations because of greed, not because of need. When you are meeting pedagang kaki lima selling food street in the kaki lima, they are breaking the law because of need. The solution should be different. You should not be adopting the same approach. So those are values. So you outline the values, and then you allow the organizations to run. If you're leading a country, not only 200,000 people, you're dealing with 270 million people. You should clearly outline equal opportunity, no nepotism, clear. If that's your value, everyone will obey. If you then stop their value, then everyone will be, I'm adopting nepotism too. Because the top one is adopting nepotism. Okay? No nepotisms. Equal opportunity. Equal opportunity means no nepotisms. And then you're talking about social justice. And then you're talking about everyone is equal before the law. So as a leader, you outline the values and then let leaders at the subordinate level translate those values into policies, into actions. Without that, then there is no clear guidance. Where are we heading? As a group, as an entity, as a nation. And that, where we are dealing with issues like what Ian is talking about. Whenever there is a wrongdoing, breaking the law, and then it has to go viral before it gets attention. I think it is something to be fixed, it is something to be corrected, but it has to start from the top leadership. It cannot start from the middle. Akiho, thank you. Very nice batik you're wearing. Echo chambers, that's what you're talking about, the algorithm, and it has made tendency that you are dealing with issues of your preference and tend to create echo chambers. And I think to address that aspect, we need to widen our reach. Seriously engaged and searching other issues, not so much as passive participants, but more like an active participants. So if you are a supporter of Anies, for example, your social media will be flooded with positive stories about Anies. Start searching other issues that may not be related directly to Anies, and then start to find individuals or writers who are critical to Anies, so you can have balanced view about issues. And I think it is something important nowadays. And then on top of that, if I may suggest, we need to have a good critical thinking, because nowadays we will be dealing with hoaxes, false informations. I think the best way to protect us from this misinformation, disinformation, and hoaxes are having critical thinking. Without having critical thinking, you will easily accepting false information or disinformations.
Thank you so much. 皆さん、もう時間ですので、もう終わらなければなりませんが、今日皆さん来ていただいて本当にありがとうございました。今、自民党、立憲民主党で、まさに日本でも代表を選ぶ選挙が行われていますが、さて、ここまでインドネシアの皆さんが熱狂するほど政治に関心を持ってみんな参加しているかというと、そうではありません。なので、我々ぜひインドネシアのことを学びながら、一緒にさらに民主主義を進めていけるように、若い人たちが一緒に学び合えるような、そういうのがもうちょっといろんなところで進むといいなと思っておりますので、もちろん上智大学をはじめいろいろなところでそういうチャンス作っていけたらなと思っております。引き続きよろしくお願いいたします。それでは最後にもう一度アニスさんに大きな拍手でお礼を言いたいと思います。ありがとうございます。それでは終わりたいと思います。皆さん、通訳の持ってらっしゃる方は必ず返してお帰りください。ありがとうございました。
Oh, by the way, your questions I haven't answered. What will you be doing after this? Yeah. I'm actually officially jobless. So, if there is Kartu Prakerja, I will apply for it. So I'm officially jobless. So what do I plan to do? I think I plan to continue doing what I did. Before I served in government, I was a university professor. I don't think I'm going back as a university professor, but I will be teaching for sure. I'll be coming to lecture. So if there is an invitation like this, I will definitely come and share some of my thinking. Definitely. Last week I was in Jogja. This week I'm now in Sofia. So we'll see next week somewhere else. So I will continue doing that. But secondly, I will also actively engage in civil society activism. We used to be sending teachers across Indonesia. It's called Indonesia Mengajar. Okay? And I haven't met the guy for many years, but he's a graduate of our teaching program. His name is Shobit. Can you stand up? Where are you now? Teaching where? Kasih microphone. So.
Hello. Yeah. I'm currently teaching here in Japan.
Yeah, terima kasih Pak Abdul. Namanya, his name is Sugit. You're teaching where?
Utsunomiya University.
Utsunomiya?
Probably 15 minutes from.
Okay. He was a teacher in Halmahera Selatan. In the area where there is no electricity, there is no phone signal. Sugit was there. So we have a project like that. So I'm going to continue doing some of the work that I've done before I'm in government. Some also talking about forming a political party. So if any of you interested, we'll think about it. But we'll talk about it more further. But now more on social services, more on perhaps organisasi kemasyarakatan. That's what we're trying to organize. So I'll keep myself busy. So even though I don't have official work with government, but we're going to continue working outside government. And that's your questions that I forget to answer. Sama-sama. Those who have asked questions, can you stand up? Can you stand up? Yuk, maju ke depan, saya kasih buku satu-satu. Bukunya ditandatanganin tuh ya. Yeah. Terima kasih teman-teman semuanya. Terima kasih sudah datang. Mudah-mudahan kita akan jumpa di lain waktu. Dan please, for those who have interest in Indonesia, please continue to monitor and please help to ensure that our democracy is continuing on the right track. Those who are still studying, good luck with your study. Good luck with your study. My pesan, my message is only 2 words. Whatever you're doing, impress them. Impress them. You represent Indonesia, impress the Japanese with the Indonesian students. Okay? Terima kasih.